Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi. And on the show tonight, we're going to cut through the haze to bring you the unfiltered truth on a story that matters the most. As a thick blanket of toxic smoke chokes the streets of the national capital, we're diving headfirst into the capital's suffocating air crisis. Air apocalypse is what we're calling it. One that's not just bad, but dangerously severe, turning every breath into a gamble with your own health. You know what? Picture this. A city that feels more like a pressure cooker than a vibrant metropolis. Delhi's air quality has plunged into the severe category yet again, and experts are warning that stepping outside right now means breathing at your own risk with invisible poisons seeping straight into your lungs. Let's break down the alarming spike that's gripped the city over the last 24 hours. On the 10th of November, the air quality index clocked in at 362, which is categorized as very poor on the AQI index, already a red flag for vulnerable groups like children and the elderly. But by today, that number skyrocketed to 428, slamming squarely into the severe zone. The pollution levels are so high that they can trigger everything from asthma attacks to long-term heart damage. And it's not just averages painting this grim picture. Certain hotspots are pushing into what is the severe plus territory, with AQI readings soaring above 450, the threshold where the air becomes an outright health emergency. In Bhavana, it's hit 460, Nangloi at 457, Kashmiri Gate at 452, ITO at 441, and Mathura Road back up to 452. These aren't just numbers on your screens. They're neighborhoods where the smog is so dense that you can taste it on your tongue. In response, authorities have now rolled out Graded Response Action Plan Stage 3, GRAP 3, and that's meant to slam the brakes on this pollution hemorrhage. But the question we're trying to ask, is it enough? Is it a little too late now? Or is it just a flimsy band-aid on a gaping wound, a band-aid for a hemorrhage? Under these measures, Delhi and the NCR are now banning BS3 petrol and BS4 diesel four-wheelers from the roads, forcing thousands of commuters to now suddenly rethink their daily grind. Thanks to the last 2-3 years, it's become a consequent and subsequent ritual. They're better prepared at the moment. But non-essential construction and demolition work has ground to a halt. Stone crushers and mining operations have been shut down. The truck entries are restricted to only essential supplies like food and medicine. And on top of that, advisories are out for work from home setups and cutting back on outdoor movement, especially for kids and senior citizens. It's a desperate clampdown. But as the sun sets on another smog-shrouded day, you have to wonder, well, you must, will these steps actually clear the air, or are they too little too late?
सारे विभागों के साथ में हमने इसकी विस्तृत चर्चा कि कहाँ पे और क्या क्या संभावनाएं हैं जो सरकार कर सकती है। और मैं आप सबसे भी ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि पॉल्यूशन जो है, ये दिल्ली शहर जो आसपास की सराउंडेड सिटीज़ के साथ में जुड़ा हुआ है, उसका बहुत ज़्यादा असर दिल्ली पे रहता है। दिल्ली जो मेजर्स कर रही है पूरी सिंसियरिटी से कर रही है और हर प्रकार से कर रही है। आज वाटर स्प्रिंकलर्स हो, डस्ट मिटिगेशन हो, स्वीपिंग हो, कूड़ा उठाना हो, धुएं को जहाँ जहाँ भी आग लगा करके धुएं का उसको कंट्रोल करना हो, हर तरह की कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट्स हो, हर जगह हर चीज़ को कंट्रोल किया जा रहा है, चीज़ें मेंटेन्ड है। पर जो व्हीकल दूसरे राज्यों से आ रहे हैं, जो हवाएं दूसरे राज्यों से आ रही है, जो धुआं आ रहा है, तो ये 7-8 महीने के कार्यकाल में सरकार ने अपनी पूरी ताकत के साथ में इन विषयों पे काम किया है और लगातार कर रही है, आगे भी करेंगे।
Well, so the Chief Minister says efforts are honest, efforts are sincere. But adding fuel to this toxic fire is a baffling mystery that's left everyone scratching their heads. How does the pollution data go missing on certain days? The Central Pollution Control Board's Sameer application, our go-to lifeline for real-time air updates, mysteriously went offline after 12:15 p.m. on the 10th of November. That's yesterday. Right before the blackout, it reported Delhi's AQI at 345, still very poor. For over 12 hours amid this heavy smog siege, there were zero updates on the application, leaving the city blind to the escalating danger. And this isn't a one-off glitch. The same eerie data and this blackout hit right after Diwali, when only 9 out of the 37 monitoring stations in Delhi were even functioning on that Diwali night. A lot of fireworks and pyrotechnics that were used and of course lit up the sky as well that night. The Commission for Air Quality Management, CAQM, insists that they're continuously monitoring, but with the key PM 2.5 data, the ultra-fine particles that burrow deep into your bloodstream and wreak havoc on lungs and hearts going missing, the whole picture gets distorted, doesn't it? Why does this matter so much? Well, because AQI is the backbone of the GRAP restrictions. Without accurate numbers, decisions on bans and alerts hang in the balance, potentially putting lives at unnecessary risk. Transport emissions alone account for 21.4% of this pollution soup. Yet the data gaps raise serious questions about accountability. Who's watching the watchers when the system itself goes dark? And let's not forget the irony unfolding on the ground. During the last weekend, protesters demanding cleaner air were shoved into buses. The real polluters, factories belching smoke, vehicles guzzling fuel, and farm fires seem to slip through the cracks unscathed. So, with an expert set of panelists with me here on the broadcast, the big question that we're trying to decode and ask: are current restrictions like the GRAP 3 real solutions or just an eyewash? And why does air pollution data disappear during Delhi's worst smog episodes? How long can Delhi keep treating its air crisis as a seasonal nuisance? With me on the broadcast, Vimlendu Jha, environmental activist. Many thanks for taking out the time, Mr. Jha. Harsh Dhaiya, political analyst, also with us on the broadcast. Many thanks for joining us. Siddharth Sharma, spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party, with us on the broadcast as well. Dipankar Saha, former additional director, CPCB, also with us on the broadcast. Well, Mr. Jha, let me quickly get the snowball rolling here. Delhi's air has once again fallen into the severe category. We know what happened when you were out protesting near India Gate as well. We all read those headlines as well. But GRAP 3 is in force now today, but the air still seems unbreathable. You can still sense that taste, that metallic tinge on your tongue. Has GRAP simply become a seasonal ritual? It's sort of like a band-aid on a hemorrhage, rather than an effective plan, and on top of that, the data goes missing on crucial days.
Absolutely. So, GRAP is supposed to be an emergency measure, and you cannot, show this as governance at the end of the day. Of course, people like us were actually asking that at least that the government could do, while not doing enough through the year, at least put some restrictions so that there's a notional change, whatever, of 1%, 2% or 5% in this extreme severe plus situation that we're talking about. And as you rightly said, that when you actually have the air quality monitors not working for almost 5 hours, 6 hours or 10 hours on peak pollution days, and then the average is presented to you, of course, that almost looks as if the report card is much better, sub changa C, and that's how the average AQI that CPCB is giving you or presenting to us versus what the private monitors are showing is completely different. The reality is that the air is already hazardous. It's 500 plus. It's, right now, GRAP 4 should have been in place. In fact, imagine last 3-4 days, most air quality monitors have actually been showing 400 plus. And these are government monitors that, again, we are talking about, which are shut down. The averages are incorrect, water being sprinkled on them. And despite that, there's very little that is being done. So, from a governance report card point of view, is GRAP 3 an actual pollution management intervention? Not at all. But what can the beggars do? As in right now, we don't have a choice but to ask at least that please shut down the schools so that the children who don't have a choice but to breathe, none of us actually have a choice but to breathe, will at least get temporarily some relief. Although that's not the real answer.
We keep hearing about the right to breathe, but when even air quality data disappears for hours, like you're pointing out, does it not become a right to know crisis as well? We're dealing with a right to breathe and a right to know crisis altogether. And that's seemingly dangerous, clear-cut civic apathy out in the open.
Absolutely. And then what you saw is the high-handedness of the Delhi police. What were these people? By the way, the reason why people were protesting is because people were frustrated. Citizens are frustrated, party agnostic. We are talking about our right to breathe. We are children and women and mothers and fathers who actually came to the protest, fine, not the designated so-called protest as per law, because India Gate is not where you are supposed to be there. But rather than arresting polluters and pollution, the government was prompt enough to actually arrest these the protesters, these children, these women, and attributing some sort of an agenda. The agenda is very, very simple. That this government inaction, this constant hiding, because also we need to understand one thing, Kabir, that data is not just about number. There are two very, very important aspects when we talk about data. One, data ideally triggers a sort of a public health advisory. So that's why it's very important for anyone to know what the actual air quality is. Because imagine if people are not wearing masks as much as they should, proportionate to the kind of pollution, because they still are believing the government's data, many people who think air is not as bad as some of the campaigners I have been talking about. And therefore, you'll see people are still walking in the parks, people are still going to schools, people are not wearing masks at all. That is one. Two, the second most important part of data management and honest data management is that an effective, efficient, honest, true, however ugly that data is important to really frame some sort of a pattern, some sort of a, to look at what are your sources of pollution, which month pollutes more, which hour of the day pollutes more, which area pollutes more, so that there's adequate, proportionate, policy that could be made based on that analysis over 12 months or over 24 months in that sense, and some sort of an action. But here, when your focus largely is to actually save face, and save perception.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, from where I'm looking at things, it's borderline criminal to not put that data particularly out. I mean, even the bad data will tell you something. There's going to be some sort of learning curve and outcome from that bad data as well. We've got Harsh Dahya, political analyst, with us here on the broadcast. Harsh, Delhi's air emergency sparks the same political blame game cycle every year. It's the Aam Aadmi Party versus the BJP government, centre versus the Punjab government. Is this political deadlock not costing Delhi and Delhi citizens its fair right to clean air? And how does one justify the fact that even on Diwali night, even yesterday, I mean, there's clear-cut data blackout? Who's going to be responsible for that?
Kabir, first of all, I would like to thank your channel for calling sensible people like Mr. Vimlendu Jha to these debates, who put such clear perspective on national.
Well, appreciate that, and appreciate Mr. Jha also taking out the time and coming and joining these discussions.
Absolutely, because what I've been seeing from last couple of days related to the protest and some other things that are going on social media, it has mostly been a blame game between Congress, BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, and some paid these social media influencers calling out to people and staging these protests. But there are genuine protesters as well, like Mr. Jha, who are putting out right points rather than making it a political issue. And coming back to the point, this is not a political issue. It may be Congress, it may be BJP, or it may be Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab.
But it's always made into one, isn't it? It's always made into one. Right now, you've got the Red Fort blast. People are busy with that kind of widening probe and the counter-terrorism operations that are being carried out. Otherwise, today, Delhi, the biggest thing to talk about would have been the air apocalypse, this air nightmare that we're living in. And people are politicizing it left, right and center, I'll tell you what.
That's what I'm saying, that this issue shouldn't be politicized. All the Delhi NCR governments, be it Delhi, be it Punjab, be it Haryana, be it Uttar Pradesh, be it Rajasthan, they should come together, sit on a table, and with the central government in taking the command, they should work out some plan, because we would be debating about this like after a decade as well, but nothing is going to be solved. And of all the data that have been seen, the biggest issue for this particular pollution that happens in northern part of India is the farm fires that are happening in all states across Delhi. There are not so many farms in Delhi, so they cannot be a reason. There are hardly any farm fires over here. But Haryana has worked really well in this particular regard. The farm fires have decreased over there. But what we have been seeing in Punjab, the farm fires are in fact increasing year by year instead of decreasing. My biggest issue, not to make it political, but coming back to what Mr. Kejriwal used to say when he was in power in Delhi, that there are farm fires happening in Punjab and Haryana which are responsible. They need to come down. But now he's the super CM of Punjab. Mr. Bhagwant Mann is the CM over there. They should do something. And the basic reason for these farm fires is the cultivation of rice. It is a water guzzling crop which is not native to the northern part of India. It shouldn't be grown over here. What we are doing, we are subsidizing the rice crop and then depleting a water table of northern India and then exporting this rice to Middle East to feed the people in Middle East.
No, that's a great
How
point
does
that
it
you've
make
raised over
sense?
there, but I think we're digressing. We've gone too much to the periphery at the moment right now, because you see, we can't change, the staple diet of rice overnight. It's going to take a lot of time.
But
a
it
lot
is
of
not the
campaigning.
staple diet. If you see, the local people in northern India do not consume rice to that extent. Most of it is
1 in 4 people are pre-diabetic.
under MSP.
Carbs are the
and then most
biggest
of it
source
is
of killer.
exported to Middle East.
And so many people consume rice. I think there should be a special survey done on that as well. But we'll come back to the pollution, Mr. Daya. GRAP 3 being enforced, and Siddharji, just stay on. I'm going to come back to you. You can show us that paper that you were raising as well. But Mr. Daya, GRAP 3 being enforced, but enforcement happens only on paper. Do you personally feel that the citizens of the national capital are going through a policy fatigue? Just a short while ago, Mr. Jha told us that, people aren't aware that they should be wearing the mask. I mean, if they're not sensible enough to look at the morning newspaper pictures, to look at what's happening outside their window panes and not wear that mask, something's absolutely wrong on the awareness front as well.
See, I completely agree with Mr. Jha, and keeping all political affiliations aside, you can implement GRAP 3, GRAP 4, nothing is going to change. One thing is clear. We have been battling with this issue from last 10, 12 years. Nothing is changing. We have, experimented with odd even scheme as well. Hardly any change came out of those measures as well. Like it could be 10, 15%.
Then why?
But
And
that is not
I think
the
I
meaning.
never get a clear-cut answer for this question. Why were firecrackers allowed this Diwali in the national capital? When you don't know what's working, what's not working, why go ahead with the firecrackers, be it green crackers, be it red crackers, any kind of crackers? Look at Netherlands.
Kabir,
Amsterdam has
firecrackers
completely
were banned
banned.
the last couple of years. What change did it make in the national capital and the pollution over here? Because faith also is very important, and I stand on my point that people need to practice their faith. And if bursting crackers was allowed for a day or two, that didn't make much of a difference, because the Diwali is long gone, but the pollution issue still stands.
It's where we stand, and where we prioritize, that's actually where the citizens are divided. Mr. Sharma, let me come to you next. Siddharji, the faces in the government may have changed. Hindi में कहते हैं ना, किरदार बदल जाते हैं, script वही रहती है. So the faces in the government have changed, but Delhi's air hasn't. And for citizens, it feels like the same blame script every winter. It's time that the people of Delhi get a fresh, non-partisan approach to air management. Every time I speak to an Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, the first answer and the first jumla that they utter is what we did when we were in power and what has happened right now. When do we get a fresh take on this all, a non-partisan take on all of it?
Yeah, although it's a very toxic topic, Kabir, I'll try to bring it down a notch to avoid any kind of alarmism. Since light travels faster than sound, people may appear bright until you hear them speak. One or two panelists here, the oxymoron statements being the case in point here. The only anecdote that comes to mind when speaking about Delhi pollution is my own. A few days ago, I went to a doctor to check how much fever I was running. The doctor incidentally put thermometer in the refrigerator instead of under my tongue and said I had no fever. When I told him what kind of doctor he was, he said that no, he was a BJP fellow. So basically, essentially, BJP is running a Ponzi scheme in Delhi. The P in BJP stands for Ponzi. If pollution is not an issue according to BJP, then why arrest children from India Gate? And if pollution is an issue, then why not listen to its own LG, who said 74% of pollution in Delhi is self-generated and it is solvable. The BJP has to decide if it is a mom or a bride for the bride, or a mom for the bride or a mom for a bridegroom. It cannot be mom for both. The protest by intellectuals was a very clear indicator that the trust of Delhiites in BJP government is now abysmal. BJP cannot give clean water, that's why they built distillery ghats. BJP cannot give clean air, that's why they fudge AQI data. Hell, BJP cannot even give security to its own citizens, that's why blast kill innocent Delhiites. Such a simple thing. Since the LG is on record claiming knowledge about how to reduce Delhi pollution, why doesn't he simply, as the Nike ad says, just do it? Just do it, boss. It's as simple as that. BJP, Kabir, you know, I know, every intelligent fellow knows, BJP deploys the classic Rorschach test.
you see what you want to see, even if it's just an ink blot on paper. Because BJP thinks that by triggering an avalanche of stupidity, people will get swept under it. किस मुहूर्त का इंतजार कर रहे हैं बीजेपी वाले? अब तो प्रधान जी भी पोल्यूशन के पिंड छुड़ा के भाग गए हैं। वो तो even himself declaring national high alert yesterday.
Because you have called this fellow and he's talking nonsense.
What is BJP waiting for?
Excuse Mr. Dhaiya, why now you're using words like gawar and all. That doesn't throw good light on yourself as well.
What kind of words was he using?
That doesn't throw good light on yourself. You don't want to politicize it. You don't want to politicize it. Don't politicize it. You don't do, you do your bit. No, he's an Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. What do I expect from an Aam Aadmi Party spokesman? He'll have to come out and put the party's viewpoint. No.
Russia-Ukraine war. Kabir, BJP, if it claims to be a Vishwaguru who stopped Russia-Ukraine war, why is 56-inch Kagji share unable to stop fires ranging from Rawalpindi to Rameshwaram?
Okay, fine. You know what? Mr. Sharma, hold on. Mr. Sharma, hold on. You've made your points. And, the way with which you put your points through, you don't need much time. I'll give you that. But, Mr. Dhaiya, any of the points that Mr. Sharma raised right now, do you think any of them is a credible argument? Any one of them?
I'll ask you and any of the panelists, do any of these points make any sense? This was a political rhetoric that he was going on about, but there was no credibility in his any of the issues that he raised or any of the points he made. कहां पे कोई उसमें कोई वो था? मतलब ये दिखा दीजिए उत्तर प्रदेश में क्या हो रहा है, हरियाणा में क्या हो रहा है, पंजाब में क्या हो रहा है, do bootlicking of super CM Kejriwal and earn brownie points with him, but people will abuse you, people will not क्या कहते हैं vote for you after listening to your rhetoric.
Okay.
कौन उनको सीरियसली लेगा? Who will take him seriously? मेरे को तो आपने पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट के तौर पे बुलाया है, आप मिस्टर झा से पूछिए if any of his arguments were credible. Anyone can take him seriously.
We'll go to Mr. Jha. Before that, we've got Mr. Dipankar Saha. And Mr. Saha can actually throw light on the data glitch that we're talking about here. He's former additional director of the CPCB. Dr. Saha, when the Sameer app went dark yesterday, how does that then affect decision making? Is GRAP being enforced on an outdated or incomplete data? Technically, can you help the viewers understand what causes this data blackout? Is this a systemic glitch or is this institutional negligence? How does one look at it?
Actually, I don't have any idea about the data absent in the Sameer app. But what I tell, if the data is missing, the decision is missing. Data gives us the direction. And if the data is not there, the direction.
How problematic is this, Mr. Saha, that the data is not there?
Yes, it's really problematic. We cannot draw any conclusion. We have to be always general. Until and unless we are very specific when the peak is coming up, and which peak is coming up, which parameter is going up, and what is the root cause of it, and then the taking decision is a very will not be scientific and rational.
Okay.
What I am willing to say, it is a public health hazard. Days are on, and all have to work together. When we know the contribution of different emission from different sources, and if we are not able to control those sources, then that is really, it is a really.
You've been a former additional director, sir. You've been a former additional director of the CPCB. What, according to you, think might have led to this data glitch? Could it have been a systemic problem? Could it have been negligence? What could have been the possible reasons that time and again, even on Diwali night and yesterday?
It is a negligence. It is severe days. I do not know the technical reason. But I will say it should not have been happening.
So it is clear-cut negligence that has happened.
And this is probably the first time we are listening that the data missing in 2025. It was launched in 2014. And this is the first time we are listening that is the data gaps are there, data is blackout is there, data absent is there. This is the first time it is happening in 2025. Then we have to review our system why there should not
100%, sir. And finally, before I go to Ms. Jha again, the missing PM 2.5 data distorts the entire city's AQI now, doesn't it? So therefore, the timing of the restrictions, the timing of the GRAP 1, 2, 3, it's all being done with a blindfold on.
Exactly. You are very much correct. You introduced the subject so nicely that until and unless we have the specific number, we do not know whether we have to go for the phase 3 or phase 4 or GRAP 3 or GRAP 4. We do not know. So the data is very important. And also we have to understand the emissions. Governor Sahab has rightly said that 70% of the emission comes in we are generating. Delhi is generating 70%. And our part 70%, 40% comes out of the domestic sources.
Okay.
So only the 30% we can control. And 30% comes from outside. 30% means that they were neighboring states of Delhi, and 30% we can control because the 40% comes from the domestic sources. So this 60% is the issue for all of us. We cannot stop our cooking. So we cannot think of reducing zero from our kitchens also. So these are the things we have to look into. We have to break.
So it's a health problem. It's a health problem,
Yes,
and it's
a health
clear-cut
problem,
negligence.
yes.
It's clear-cut
Yes.
negligence as well. Mr. Jha, let me come back
Yes.
to you. Let me come back to you, Mr. Vimlendu Jha. You know, since you were detained, we all know what happened. We do need your viewpoint on the political rhetoric that Mr. Dhaya was also talking about and how vociferously Mr. Sharma also responded back. There is politics at play. And I know you can't do away with politics at all when you're talking about the national capital. So what's your viewpoint? Where do you see this, going forward? There are political parties, you need them. There is government funds that are required. You do need all the patterns at play as well, which is why the data is again important. So many factors at play.
Kabir, politics is not a bad word, and I think I'm of the opinion, I disagree with Mr. Daya in that sense, that issues of pollution needs to be made political. Personal is political, and there cannot be anything more personal than your choice to breathe, and that's not even a choice. It's not as if आज नहीं सांस लेना है क्योंकि आज 400 AQI हो गया है या 800 AQI हो गया है in that sense. And therefore, I think what we're talking about is that every political party, largely if you're looking at seeking time and opportunity to govern, then to understand what does it actually mean to govern. Governance cannot only and always be about roti kapda makan, because the fundamentals before that are other leaders 40 years ago perhaps didn't realize that roti kapda makan would be a political issue, but pani or hawa pani tight agar aapki ho jaye to roti kapda makan se kya hone wala hai. So more fundamental than roti kapda makan is your ability to breathe and ability to drink water, and that is being compromised. And it's very, very important that all political parties should come together and have a consensus on making this new India, whatever that you want to call it, and work towards all of this rather than bickering. I, of course, completely disagree with what Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson was talking about, because they also had a chance. The way I say it, that of course earlier when we were holding protests in Delhi in 2018, 2019 and 2020, Aam Aadmi Party was calling us BJP agent, and today BJP is calling us Aam Aadmi Party agent because it becomes a political convenience for them and to save their inaction. At the end of the day, if transport sector contributes 50% and if buses were missing, of course the gentleman here will say, oh well, LG didn't allow us to do it.
Which is why I said that the script remains the same.
If 2020 till 2022, 80% of Delhi government's budget on air pollution went in putting billboards blaming the farmers of Punjab. And now, of course, the Punjab farmers, and we always said that Punjab farmers are not to be blamed because 4 to 6 weeks, of course, stubble burning contributes, and the contribution could be 1% to 30%. Like, for example, today morning, the contribution of stubble burning to the ambient air quality was only 5%. Yesterday, it was 8%. So, indeed, that needs to stop. But that cannot happen by this aggression
pertinent points that you've raised over there, Mr. Jha. I've completely run out of time here. My apologies, I couldn't let you finish your thoughts over there. And the idea is to continue with this discussion, this debate whatsoever. It can have political rhetorics as well. I'm glad that we are able to talk about this every now and then. And on that front, to Mr. Sharma as well and to Mr. Dhaya, many thanks for taking on the time and coming to the show and speaking to us. Mr. Jha and of course Mr. Saha, always a pleasure to be speaking to you as well. A quick commercial breather here. On the other side, we shift our focus back to the Red Fort blast. We've got some explosive breaking developments. Don't miss out on those. Rolling coverage right here on News 9, right on the other side.
जी, आपने भारत कनेक्ट का नाम सुना है?
शादी वादी करावें क्या?
शादी नहीं, 5 लाख एजेंट्स की मदद से बिल